All right. So today we're going to finish patch 2.4 because we didn't do that last time, and then go into 5.5 as far as we can. Maybe the first half, because I do have an appointment later. So we are going to do as much as we can, though. So don't you worry. Trying a slightly different lighting setup. I look almost angelic, but I think it'll turn out okay. Alright. Ooh, I was continuing my own because I'm actually, at time of recording, Endwalker's just a few weeks away, and I'm actually not caught up, so I've been trying to catch up with that. But that's not what we're doing right now. We are here. Alright. Speak with Alphano in the White Brim front. I know we're gonna be pretty deep in Heavensward when Endwalker comes out, so I need to get a new setup so I can switch the glams on the fly, I guess. I need to do a lot of organizing before Endwalker comes out, actually. But I'm super stoked. But we're in Realm Reborn, so let's talk about Realm Reborn, shall we? So last time we did, we think, put an end to Lady Iceheart's schemes. She turned into Shiva. We beat her down. And, that's really it. There he is, and none the worse for wear. Was there ever any doubt that the Warrior of Light would succeed? I think I speak for all of us when I say that I should like nothing more than to hear the stirring tale of your victory, if you would be so kind. Then we were too late to prevent the summoning. But not too late to prevent further loss of life, an outcome worthy of celebration, and none for which we have Shadow to thank. Yes, you are right. Of course, Sir Imeric. We should be content with that we have accomplished. I, for one, could not have wished for a better outcome. Shiva is no longer a threat, and the heretics have been routed. Aye, there is a matter of Iceheart's escape, but she cannot run forever. Whether it takes days, weeks, moons, or even years, my knights will find her. In the meantime, Lord Dromont, is the caravan ready? The supplies that your men recovered have been prepared for transport, in accordance with your wishes. Rest assured that my knights will see them safely to Revenant's Toll. Of that I have no doubt. I take it there are the self-same supplies the heretics stole from the House of Fortune caravan? Less the crystals which comprise the bulk of the shipment, yes. Scarcely a fraction of that was promised, but a meaningful contribution to your cause all the same. Ah, on an unrelated note, Shadow, might I trouble you to accompany me to Camp Dragonhead at your earliest convenience? 'Tis not for my benefit. A certain lord was most distressed when he learned of your intent to risk life and limb to stop Iceheart. It took half a dozen knights to restrain him, I am told. Men give vent to their anxieties in myriad ways. Pray do not think less of him. What were you thinking, Shadow? Wagering your very being on a dubious theory which might allow you to enter Iceheart's lair, knowing full well that she could have sufficient forewarning to complete her ritual to summon Shiva anyway? And then, engage in the abomination in mortal combat? By the Fury, Shadow. 'Tis the stuff of ballads, a battle for the ages. Would that I had been there to fight by your side. Yet here I was forced to wait, condemned to wonder at the fate of a dear friend for a veritable eternity. I could not wish such torture on my most hated enemy. But you are here now, and that is what truly matters. Let us move on. Sir Aymeric wishes to have words with you and Master Alphino in private. He awaits you in the intercessory. Greetings, sir. I shall show you in at once.
On behalf of the Holy See of Ishgard, allow me to express my deepest thanks. Never before have we been required to contend with a primal. Indeed, there were fears in some quarters that our knights might not be equal to the task. From what we have now learned of these beings, I can say with certainty that we would have lost a great many men had the Scions not intervened.
Then the argument for preemptive action should be self-evident. Perchance now you will reconsider my proposal that Ishgard move against Nautalon.
Ere we first met, a similar proposal was tabled, but the Holy See decreed that we were to observe, and that military action should be taken only in self-defense. All things considered, it was not an unreasonable decision. Since the calamity, 2 vigils have fallen to the Horde, while Garuda has never shown any inclination to storm the gates of judgment. Which is why this unprecedented crisis and its resolution may prompt a change in policy. You who have faced these primals know well the threat they pose. Ishgard did not. Not until now. And there is naught like a brush with death to change a man's outlook.
At the very least, this should silence any lingering objections to our arrangement with Revenant's Toll. The Holy See may even feel moved to grant us its formal endorsement.
So far as it is possible, the Scions shall be compensated for their service.
We should be grateful for any aid you can provide.
As a gesture of good faith, I shall withdraw my previous request. Your people are doubtless needed elsewhere.
That will not be necessary. We too have a vested interest in watching Dravania's movements.
I see.
Sir Aymeric, if I may, do you truly believe that Midgard-Zoma could return?
The heavens are a window unto truth, but those who interpret their movements are not infallible. I requested your involvement as a precautionary measure.
But of course, you sought an excuse to compensate us from the first, mindful of what would happen if Revenant's Toll were taken by your enemies. Ishgard is not wont to aid its neighbors, but that does not preclude it from manipulating them to serve its own interests.
Choose your next words carefully.
Do you know what sort of man becomes Lord Commander of the Temple Knights? One who comes from good stock. I did not. Yet here I am now. Why do you suppose that is? Because I swiftly learned to tell the difference between words, deeds, and beliefs. You are correct, Master Leveilleur. Ishgard desires to see Revenant's Toll flourish, as it would present a troublesome obstacle to our enemies from the south.
We are so glad to be of use to you.
As we are to you. Ours is a mutually beneficial arrangement, lest we forget, one born of necessity. The dragons grow more restless by the day, and the heretics harry us nigh without cease. We have contended with such troubles for centuries, but there are limits to even our endurance. Yet as a pauper is loath to part with his meager possessions, the leaders of Ishgard are not wont to render up their trust to outsiders. But with perseverance on our part, they may yet be made to see the light. Nevertheless, one must take care when walking the road less traveled.
Wise words, Sir Emmerich. I shall make a point to remember them. I must apologize for my earlier outburst. I hope it will not sour our good relations.
Not at all. You but spoke from the heart. I trust you understand that at times my duties may prevent me from meeting with you. On such occasions, my second-in-command will speak for me.
Lucia, at your service. Pray excuse our reticence. We are but wary of speaking too freely, lest our sentiments be made known to our enemies. Know that the Lord Commander and I are of one mind. For the sake of Ishgard, and of Eorzea at large, I pray our peoples can put aside their differences. Those who dwell in the past risk losing sight of their future.
Should aught befall one of our shipments, pray inform Lucia immediately. You may also relay to her any words you might have for me alone. Not being of Ishgardian birth, she owes no allegiance to any noble house, making her as near to incorruptible as one can find in my homeland. Suffice it to say, I trust her completely, and so may you. Which reminds me, Lord Orchefort, if you would be so kind?
Certainly.
In times such as these, trust is ever in short supply. Mayhap this will go some way to rectify the problem. The results of our investigation into the heretics' recent attacks, as well as our interrogation of the merchant you detained.
Sir Emmerich, I cannot thank you enough.
Think nothing of it. Ishgard may be many things, but it is no friend to Garlemald.
Did I not tell you to have faith, my friend?
Eyes unclouded. It would seem we have much to discuss with our friends at the Rising Stones. If what you say is true, Iceheart's method of summoning Shiva defies all precedent. It necessitates a complete reappraisal of the primal threat, and of our approach to combating it. Moreover, there are grave ramifications if word of this incident reaches Imperial ears. The Garlean Empire believes that primals are an insufferable menace, that their mere existence is a threat to this very star. As such, they deem any action taken against the beast tribes to be justified by default. Imagine, then, if it became known that it was not only the beast tribes of Eorzea that could summon primals, but their civilized people as well. Any lingering objections to the Eorzean campaign would vanish overnight. Where before we had to contend with a single Imperial Legion, we could well find ourselves facing the combined might of all Garlemald. But I speak unadvisedly. Come, Shadow. It is better that we continue this conversation in Mordona. Did you see Totoro wave as we went by? That was cute.
Words cannot well express how glad I am to see you return to us hale and whole. Needless to say, I am most eager to hear your account of that which occurred in Kurthis, assuming you're ready to speak of it. Excellent. I shall summon the others at once. Iceheart used her own body as a vessel for a primal soul?
Master Louisoir's writings make no mention of such a possibility. Can we be certain this entity was a primal?
As certain as we can be that good King Mogglmog the 12th was a primal, I should think. Both were ostensibly summoned.
Let's not quibble over definitions. Of more concern is the implication that Iceheart retained her will, even after she was possessed. We are talking about a mortal, wielding the power of a primal.
It can't possibly be that easy, can it? There must be some sort of sacrifice required. Or maybe she's just special?
What qualities this woman possesseth, I know not. But full sure am I that she was groomed for this role. Few are privy to the secrets of summoning, and but a single party standeth to profit from their dissemination.
Well, I wouldn't presume to comment on how the lass came to know about summoning, but I will say that what she summoned was a primal. The readings were the same, or near as damn it. Strange as it all sounds, it's really no different from what you've faced before.
Then mayhap it is time that we re-examined our previous encounters.
Oh, pack your things, Ida. We're going back to Gridania.
Yes, sir.
About Iceheart's final words to you. Hear, feel, think. Hydaelyn speaks to her as well. If Iceheart is blessed with the power of the Echo, she will doubtless have used it to further her goal. Or could it be that it was a revelation granted her by the Echo which first set her on this path? She did say that the Ishgardians were blind to the truth. Do you think she has knowledge of the origins of the Ishgardian-Dravanian War? It would do much to explain her unwavering conviction.
Did not the Lady Iceheart implore thee to seek the Keeper of the Lake? And did she not imply that in so doing thou wouldst come to see with eyes unclouded?
Midgard-Zoma was a king amongst kings who reigned for centuries on end. But he is dead and his wisdom lost to the ages. Unless the Ishgardians' fears are well-founded, it would seem we have yet another reason to stand watch over the Keeper of the Lake. For a mercy, we are well positioned to do so. Iceheart, Shiva, Ascians, and Midgard-Zoma. I shudder to think how they're all connected.
The reason, Royale. I mean to scour the annals of knowledge for Midgard-Zomer. Given his great age, I dare say he appears in more than a few... Do you hear that? The commotion outside? Would you see if aught is amiss? Shadow, 'tis well that you are on hand. We have a problem. Royale has escaped. It happened shortly after the immortal flames took her into custody. She had been placed in a dungeon cell ahead of her coming trial, but apparently her accommodation was not to her liking. The turnkey was found slain along with 2 guards. 'Tis plain she received inside help. Citizens report seeing Royale quitting the city via the Gate of Nald with a bloodied spear in hand. She makes for Castra Meridianum. I'm certain of it. With her fate in Eorzea as good as sealed, what recourse has she but to flee to her imperial masters? Even as we speak, Captain Ilbert and the First are hot upon Royale's heels. Pray make haste to Camp Bluefog and join the hunt. I don't know why I didn't just teleport. My thanks for coming, Scion. I have spoken with the soldiers here. They say that Royale walked through the camp not a bell ago. Aye, she walked right through. You did not mishear. We have Ralbon's decision to keep the matter secret to thank for that. Bad for morale, he said. As a result, not a single flame in the garrison made any attempt to detain her, and so we are here. Royale must not be allowed to reach Castra Meridianum. This wretch was with Royale. He threw himself at us with his mistress might escape. She didn't blink when we cut him down, not even when he started screaming. No loyalty even to her own. The goddamn harpy. With me, Scion, we almost have her. Ah, Steel Reason. I love this song. I'll kill the Medicus. Okay, so they've trapped some of our helpers. Yugiri's here. Is there a Medicus somewhere? Gotta keep a watch for those. Ilbert's almost dead, so we need a... There we go. Bind her, and do it tight. Yes, sir. Good work, men. She and her imperial cronies pushed us close, but we were better. Behold, a respected officer of the Immortal Flames. People looked up to you as one of the Order's founding members, one of its pillars. It saddens me to see how you've fallen so low. What would you know of low? You, a spoiled little lordling who has never known any want. People such as you take wealth and birth for granted. You think it's your God-given right to rule over others? You know not of our plight, the injustice that we low-bornish guardians must endure. To the noble lords and ladies, we are not people, but resources to be consumed. I did what I had to do to survive. Stealing, killing, even wore myself out. It is not fault of mine if fools imagine me a paragon when I joined the Flames. To hear you tell it, one would think you were the only person ever to be suffered. In case you have forgotten, Raban himself was born into poverty, as was I. We lived hand to mouth, with little more than the shirts on our backs. Hunger was our constant companion. Yet we never did we bemoan our lot in life. Not did we begrudge others their fortunes. We accepted the hand that we had been dealt, and played it to the best of our ability. Life was a battle, aye, but no matter what fate threw at us, we took it on the chin and came back for more. Everything we have, we fought for. How are we any different, then? 'Tis true that we are both mercenaries of lowly birth, and 'tis true that we both had our fair share of struggles. But whereas I sold my sword, you, Marshal, you sold your comrades. If life has taught me one thing, is that you never betray your own. I would sooner cut off my own arm than raise a hand against a friend. But enough talk. You will return to Oldov to face justice, and the people whose trust you have dragged through the gutter. Not so much as a hint of remorse. 'Tis well that this sordid business is finally at an end. A friend's betrayal cuts deeper than steel. We must hope that we have chosen our own allies more wisely than Raban chose his.
I have heard. Truly bothersome business. No, I do not foresee a problem on that front. The main concern is Raban. There is no telling what the brute might do. Have the Blades watch him in the flames day and night. You may leave the Sultana to me. I shall personally attend her grace. Sever one of the East Aldenard trade routes. That ought to keep Lolorito occupied for a while. Nanamo Ulnamo. For my sake, pray be a good little Sultana to the last.
Let us cling together. Captain Ilberg and I have a few questions for the Flame Marshal regarding the circumstances of her miraculous escape. When we have completed our interrogation, we shall take our findings directly to General Raban, and that shall be the end of it. Your work here is done, my friend. My thanks. But I have one last task for you. Return to the Rising Stone and appraise Menphilia of all that's happened. I am aware that the antecedent held Royale in high regard. For better or worse, she will want to know how her tale ends.
Welcome back, my friend. I have already received word from Alfino. To think that Flame Marshal Huayu was the Gallian agent. I know not what to say. Together with Robon, Eileen lent us much-needed aid at the time of our Order's founding. She was particularly passionate about the need to tackle the primal threat. When we discussed the subject, her eyes fairly shone with determination. Whatever else she may have been, I choose to believe that it was her true self with whom I spoke then. But now is not the time to dwell on such matters. I have an important announcement to make regarding our effort to defeat the Ascians. We shall begin as soon as everyone is assembled. My thanks for coming, friends. Moonbreeder, the floor is yours.
By now, I'm sure you're all familiar with white auracite, the miraculous material that'll allow us to capture Ascian souls. Back at Snowcloak, we verified its ability to absorb vast amounts of ether. Alas, it leaves something to be desired in the area of stability. The stone can only store ether for a short while before expelling its contents.
In addition to auracite's inherent limitations, we must needs be wary of our enemy's strength. Our foe draweth upon an infinite wellspring of power. Even should we succeed in entrapping him, the stone will not long contain his wrath.
Meaning that, if we want to kill the swine, we'll have to be quick about it.
'Tis our belief that an Ascian soul may be permanently undone, if smitten by a sufficiently concentrated burst of pure ether.
The only trouble is, we can't say for sure how concentrated the burst needs to be. Without knowing how much ether an Ascian soul is composed of, we're basically guessing.
Our sole clue lieth in thy struggle with La Hebrea.
During that encounter, Heidelin bid you forge what she called a Blade of Light, a weapon which took the form of a luminous stream of energy. Based on your description, we believe the blade with which you vanquished your foe was composed of ether. Admittedly, your victory proved ephemeral, as La Hebrea was able to use a crystal of darkness to flee into the space that lies between our world and the void. The fact remains, however, that Heidelin placed the means to destroy the Ascians in your hands. Be that as it may, it would be unwise to assume that she will do the same when we next encounter such a foe.
Quite so, my lady. We must needs find the means to forge our own blade of ether, one to equal that which Heidelin did benevolently bestow upon her champion.
That is all well and good, but it seems to me that producing such a blade will require a prodigious quantity of ether. Whence will it come, pray tell?
Oh, what if we had two pieces of white auracite? One to trap the Ascian, and the other to store the ether for the blade.
Oh, nice try. But it's as I said, the stone won't hold ether for any length of time. We'd still need to collect the stuff there and then, sorry to say.
And therein lies the rub. Finding a way to create the blade whenever and wherever we choose.
'Twould seem more research is in order.
I'm going to linger a while, perform a few more tests on the auracite. And I could do with some help. Urianger, why don't you lend me a hand?
Mine apologies, but I am required at the Waking Sands. Lady Minfilia hath given me sole charge of the premises. 'Twould be unseemly to leave them unattended.
Sole charge, you say? So you're basically alone there, then? Well, that settles it. I'll just have to come to you.
While you were afield, word arrived from the Charlian motherland. You will recall that a survey party was dispatched to investigate the incident at the Isle of Vow. What they discovered was troubling, to say the least. According to the report, the Isle has been erased from existence. 'Twas as if a hole had been torn in the very fabric of reality.
Aye, yet the mystery endeth not with the Isle's disappearance. It hath come to light that a number of scholars in various other locales were reported missing at a similar juncture.
What's more, they all had something in common with the head of the students of Baldessian. Every last one of them was researching a phenomenon called dimensional compression, or the rejoining as the ancient texts call it. I'll be damned if that's a coincidence.
All indications suggest Ascian involvement, but I sense that a force greater still is at work. The entity the Dark Beings call the One True God. We must pray that my dear friend Kryl regains consciousness soon. If she bore witness to the Isle of Val's final moments, she may be able to shed some light on this mystery.
Following the calamity, the forces of the 14th Imperial Legion entrenched themselves in strategic locations across Eorzea. So swiftly did they accomplish this, it was suspected that they had received help. To think that it came from Huayu, my right hand.
There is more. We have reason to believe that Huayu didn't deal exclusively with the 14th. She also answered to a higher authority in Garlemald. But this higher authority could not have been the Emperor. By consenting to the media project, Solus Zos Galvus showed himself to be more concerned about preventing the spread of primal influence than claiming Eorzea for the Empire. He would happily have seen the lot reduced to ash. We believe a number of high-ranking figures within the royal household were against the decision, but that they knew better than to oppose the Emperor openly. Of course, this didn't prevent them from making clandestine provisions, in which Huayu played a part.
Alas, these provisions did not prevent Dalamud from falling, and the ensuing chaos changed the face of the realm forever. Yet Eorzea survived. To all intents and purposes, the Meteor Project had failed, and the Empire was left to rue its lack of a decisive means to eliminate the primals. Until, that is, it stumbled upon the Ultima weapon.
Even before the accursed thing was dug up, it seemed to me the 14th had the might to overwhelm our weakened armies. Yet they chose to hide behind their walls. Why?
The Black Wolf was wary of making the denizens of Eorzea desperate, lest more primals emerge to bleed the land. The discovery of the Ultima weapon, however, emboldened him to resume his war of conquest in earnest.
But there was one in Garlemald who believed that Van Belsar's actions were premature. One who stood higher in the Imperial Army's chain of command. He ordered the Legatus to halt his advance, only to find that the Black Wolf had slipped its leash, and that the 14th now acted alone. In a bid to bring Van Belsar to heel, he used the agent he had planted in Ul'dah prior to the calamity to undermine the Legion's efforts.
A man who outranks Van Belsar, yet opposed the late Emperor's decision to annihilate Eorzea. This could only be the former High Legatus of the Garlean army, now known as Emperor Voris Zos Galvus. So he was Huayu's true master.
But one of several in actual fact. We've learned that even as Huayu served the Empire's interests, she sold Imperial secrets to a certain faction in Eorzea. In so doing, she helped to maintain the status quo, thus prolonging the conflict. Considering who stands to profit from war, it isn't hard to imagine who her other masters were.
Seven hells! You mean to say that she was a double agent?
Triple, if you consider her services to Van Belsar and the new Emperor as separate.
As neatly as these pieces seem to fit, one aspect of the puzzle remains unclear to me. By whose will was the Marshal feeding intelligence to the heretics? And try as I might, I fail to see how aiding their cause would profit either her Imperial or monetarist masters. Could it be that another hand is at work here? If so, Huayu must be made to reveal whose it is.
Not only have I lost a trusted friend, Now I must interrogate her as a stranger.
Not a pleasant task, I grant you, but a necessary one. Unless we weed out the ivy, root, stalk, and stem, it will simply grow bad.
I know that full well. Those closest to Huayu have already been detained, and I will question them alongside her.
General, pray keep in mind that there may be unwitting abettors among them.
All will be treated fairly. On that you have my word. Those who are innocent have no cause to fear.
You have ever been a friend of truth, General. I hope the unpleasant task of weeding out falsehood will not detain you too long. Though it be for the sake of Eorzea, doubting one's comrades is poison to the soul. And with that, I take my leave.
All these years, I've been made to dance to their tune. How could you, Huayu? How could you side with them? Those cankers who take from this land and give naught in return, who use their power to disempower and grow fat while the people starve. I know you can hear me, monitorous scum! Your crimes will not go unpunished! One day I will purge this land of your sickness before the eyes of the 12, I swear it!
I shall have no further need of you this day. Your Grace. I fear that not even mine own chambers shall remain private for long.
Has the situation grown so grim?
Ever since he proposed the Cartiner Reclamation Bill, Teleji Adeleji has risen to greater prominence upon the backs of impoverished refugees. The monetarists were ever united in their pursuit of profit, but the man's actions have torn a rift in their ranks. They snap at each other as rabid dogs. Yet now is not the time to be bickering among ourselves.
If this bickering is a threat to law and order, might you not have grounds to dissolve the Syndicate?
Would that the solution were so simple, Admiral. Alas, my moving to dissolve the Syndicate is certain to spark outrage among the influential merchant class, whom the Cabal represents. This would serve to exacerbate the current unrest, and peace would slip still further away. Be they rich or poor, natives or refugees, all who reside in Ul'dah have a right to pursue happiness. It is the duty of a ruler to protect this right. If I am to perform my duty, I must needs tread warily. It would not do to make enemies heedlessly. Were Lord Lolorito here, he would doubtless say that I have my head in the clouds.
A ruler is required to take a wide view. Try as we might to cater to all needs, some will inevitably be overlooked. As such, there shall ever be citizens who feel aggrieved. It cannot be helped, but as you have informed us, the monetarists take no view but their own. They hunger for power while the masses starve. In the absence of a common cause, it seems beyond any one individual to make Ul'dah whole.
And the presence of a Garlean agent within the Immortal Flames only makes matters worse. Even accounting for Ul'dah's historic reliance upon mercenaries, such a grievous breach of security is unprecedented. I fear this business will provide the monetarists with a rod to beat Rauban.
Eorzea can ill afford for the Immortal Flames to be dampened now. Ere long, the Garleans will turn their ravenous gaze toward our lands once more. If we are to resist their might, our nations must stand together. Yet for this to happen, our nations must be whole. Cannot be done to improve the situation in Ul'dah.
The true wealth of Uldar lies in the health, happiness, and hopes of her citizens. Alas, the citizens shall never know these things, so long as their lives are ruled by the ambitions of the few. The monetarists claim to represent the best interests of the people, but in sooth they desire only to manipulate them for their own selfish ends. For the government to serve the people, it must be formed of the people. For Uldar to move forward, it is not only the Syndicate that must be dissolved.
Nay, you jest.
My friends, it was for no other reason than to make known to you my intent that I requested your presence here. When I make my declaration to the people, chaos shall inevitably ensue. As the last monarch in the line of Ul, I make unto you this request. Help Roban to preserve order and protect the people. Forsake them, and you forsake yourselves. For a strong Eorzea will ever have need of a strong Uldar.
Your Grace, are you certain of this?
There is no other way. When the time is ripe, the nation shall become a true republic. Both royalists and monetarists shall cease to be. Uldar will no longer belong to kings or queens or merchant princes, but to her people. Roban, forgive me for casting aside all that you have toiled for in my name. Beyond this gesture, I am powerless to help my subjects.
Kind of embarrassed of how they say, I'm not even going to try to say her name. The one we just apprehended, them saying her name over and over again kind of put in perspective how wrong I was. Good intentions. I don't know if this starts 5.5. I am most eager to address the Ascian threat. However, we dare not neglect our other pressing concerns. We both know full well that Saint Shiva will not be the last primal we face, and our relationship with Isgard is most tenuous at best. To think that the resolution of the primal threat was once the sole priority of the Scions of the Seventh Dawn, some days I wonder if it was wise for us to take on so many other responsibilities. Lest you forget, Antecedent, the Scions should not shoulder the burden alone. Were not the Crystal Braves established for this very reason? True, we are presented with a multitude of problems. However, we have all the resources we need to address them in turn. Shadow, in particular, is ever a steadying hand, who I will continue to support the Braves. Who I trust will continue to support the Braves. Dang it. No. To it to be with a pleasure. Have there been any further developments regarding the situation in Ul'dah? As expected, the Immortal Flames have been struggling to cope with the revelation that one of their highest-ranking officers was a Garlean agent. Suffice it to say, Teleji Adeleji and his monetarist ilk have wasted no time in attempting to turn the situation to their advantage. Coupled with ongoing unrest, the Flames are finding themselves hard-pressed. Plainly, General Raubon needs our help, and I will direct the Crystal Braves to offer what support they can. If I am to stay abreast of the latest developments and issue effective orders, however, I cannot afford to waste time traveling back and forth. And so, for the foreseeable future, I think it would be for the best if I were to remain in Ul'dah, unless you have an objection. None whatsoever. We have matters here well in hand. Moyne Breedo's research is proceeding as planned. So she tells me, though I'm not familiar with the details. Urianger is poring over his tomes of the Waking Sands, and the others are contributing in their own ways. Alas, the key problem, how to form an ethereal blade at will, remains unsolved. Nevertheless, it's only a matter of time. Shadow, while we focus on that task, mayhap you could assist Alphino and his braves with theirs. It would do much to restore faith in the immortal flames if the Warrior of Light was seen working on their behalf. Never forget that your esteemed status allow you to act in ways that those more tightly bound in organizations and nations cannot. As ever, I implore you to do so. Not that your response was ever in doubt, but I humbly thank you once more for aiding our cause. Now then, there are preparations I must attend to before my departure, such as receiving Ryle's latest report. He has proven to be quite skilled at gathering information others wish kept secret, hence why I placed him under my direct command and ordered him to investigate the Oldal riots. When you are finished here, join me outside. Depending on what he has to say, I may soon have a favor to ask. If there are any developments on our front, I shall inform you at once in the usual fashion. Oh, I shouldn't have sprinted. Pleasure as always, Shadow. You'll be escorting the commander to Oldal, I take it? Actually, I had another task in mind for him. If you could be so kind as to repeat your report for his benefit. Right then. Me and mine have been taking inquiries into the source of the weapons that found their ways into refugees' hands way back. So happens we caught wind of something promising, a rather large purchase of sharp and pointy things by a black marketeer holed up near Highbridge. I doubt that this man would have secured such a quantity of weapons if he did not already have clients waiting, clients that, for whatever reason, would prefer this transaction to remain secret. Brings to mind the merchant that caught an arrow while talking to Shadow, don't it? Generous fellow, he was doling out swords and spears to the downtrodden and disgruntled. Which isn't to say that these clients have the same mischief in mind, but if you want to be sure, it might be prudent to intervene before they collect their goods, savvy? Seizing the weapons before they fall into the wrong hands would be for the best. However, if we strike at the appointed hour, we might capture the black marketeer as well as his clients. What say you, Shadow? Then it's settled. Rendezvous with Captain Ilbert at Highbridge, and intervene when the exchange takes place. Now then, if you'd excuse me, I must leave for Oldal. I expect good tidings. We used to go to Camp Drybone a lot, but now it's been a second. Ah, Shadow, my scouts have been keeping a close eye on the Black Marketeer, and it would seem that his guests have arrived. It would also seem that he has hired more than a few men to stand guard, common thugs of no consequence, but they nevertheless pose a threat. Even so, I feel compelled to apologize. This is far beneath a man of your standing, and Commander Levier wouldn't have dispatched you hither. But powerful men have need of a loyal, able-bodied friend. Having found one in you, 'tis only natural that he would come to rely upon you without hesitation. Bait and switch. Now then, we should make for the burning wall without delay and secure those weapons. The first unit will ensure that the clients do not escape. With me, Shadow. Oh, this is such a pretty spot. I spy the one man, but there are sure to be others. I have a plan. While you approach the sentry and create a distraction, my men and I will slip past and catch the Black Marketeer unawares. Once he disposes of the thugs, wait for us outside the tunnel entrance. Any questions? Then let us be off. Good luck, my friend. Who goes there? An adventurer? Fool, you should have never have come here. Whoops. I don't understand. What's all this about? Get. Oh. As you can see, this is a fine mess. When I tried to restrain him, he drew a hidden blade and lashed out, but before I could disarm him, one of my subordinates panicked, and this is the result. How foolish of me to underestimate him, and to bring an inexperienced recruit. Commander Levier would be most disappointed. Ah, a golden opportunity. Wasted. As for the clients, though we know not how, they slip past our perimeter. At present, the first is currently tracking a party of dusk-white sellswords we suspect may be them. With it, we could have enlisted the aid of the Immortal Flames or the Brass Blades. Alas, we're here to aid them. They are in no position to aid us. Well, at the very least, we have secured the weapons. Yet, even that accomplishment is lacking, for the information we received indicated a massive shipment. And this is anything but. Best laid schemes. I will join the first in their hunt for the Duskwhite sellswords. If the gods are good, we will catch them before they escape to the Black Shroud. In the meantime, I ask that you deliver these weapons to Ul'dah in my stead. Entrust them to the Third's Yuyuhase. He will take care of the rest. Wait, where is he? I guess teleport to the Weaver's Guild. Not Wilrid. Ah, the Warrior of Light, ever reliable friend to the Crystal Braves. You have my deepest thanks for your assistance in Korthus. Now what brings you to us this day? A gift of weapons from a certain black marketeer, courtesy of Captain Ilbert, you say? Understood. Once we've catalogued the contents, I'll have them delivered to the Hall of Flames. This cannot be everything, can it? Rael stated with confidence that there would be a far greater quantity of weapons. A blatant falsehood. Clearly, Rael is unfamiliar with the ways of Ul'dah merchants, who ever strive to present themselves as greater than they are. We should be thankful that this information was not completely erroneous, and that we managed to achieve anything of worth at all. It's still something worth celebrating, isn't it, Lieutenant? Besides, we've got more important things to worry about, like fighting those Garleans up north. There'll be no fighting if I have anything to say about it. Our orders are to stand watch, not to seek glory in battle. If you have no further need of us, then I shall take my unit to the cerulean processing plant. Time for the Fourth to keep their keep, huh? To earn their keep, huh? Fight well, Alane, and for the freedom of all. Excellent work as always, my friend. Rest assured that the immortal flames will hear of your contribution. Until we meet again. Shadow, a word, if it please ye. Not here. Look for me at the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. No need for whistling this time, don't you worry. Yeah. I don't know if it would have been slightly faster to just teleport over here. But it wasn't a bad walk. Jeez. Thanks for indulging me request. Few places better than a market for privacy, I find. All the hustle and the bustle of commerce means most conversations go unnoticed. I'll get to the point. At the Burning Wall, when you and the captain interrupted the exchange, what happened? Tell me everything. Leave no detail out. That's not quite how the first told it. Those Duskwights they were chasing. Latest word is that we lost the trail. But you never saw him yourself? Not before the fighting started, and not after? Something ain't right. I don't know what it is, but I can feel it in my bones. I'm not daft enough to be misled by the merchant's drunken boast. Our information was reliable. I know we purchased those weapons. As if we've never deciphered a moneylender's books, or had to follow a transaction back to its source. There's plenty of that back when the Braves were getting started. Believe me, the commander wanted assurances that we weren't just taking gil from the wrong sort of benefactors. Of course, these days the money flows like water, and at the first and third get the shiniest new toys. Forgive me, friend. I've a lot on my mind these days, and I appreciate you lending me an ear. Right then, best get back to it. Shadow, can you hear me? This is Tataru. Your presence is urgently requested at the Rising Stones. Please come and see me as soon as you are able. Thank you for coming so quickly, Shadow. We've a guest from Ishgard who wishes to speak with you. A most, determined lady by all indications. The Rising Chorus. Our guest is with the antecedent in the solar at present. Let's not keep them waiting any longer, shall we? Ah, Lucy is here.
We have a guest from Ishgard who wishes to speak with you. I believe the two of you have met.
We have. I had hoped to speak with Commander Leveilleur as well, but I cannot afford to wait any longer. The Lord Commander sent me hither to request your aid in a matter of grave import.
You see now why I had Tataru summon you.
Now that we're all assembled, perhaps you would be good enough to elaborate on the nature of the matter which brought you to us.
The Observatorium's astrologians have sounded the alarm. Last night, the Dragonstar burned with an intensity not seen in 15 summers, not since the Dravanians engaged the Empire in the Battle of Silvertear Skies.
The northern sky doth burn full bright upon the Wormlord's call. The red behemoth beckoneth, and flame consumeth all.
The old Curthan rhyme, aye. The brightening of the dragon's sky is said to accompany the roar of a great worm. The astrologians believe that it was Midgard-Soma himself who cried out on this occasion.
After an absence of centuries, the King of Kings did return to lead his kind against the might of Garlemald, only to fall in his duel with the Agrius, proud flagship of the Garlean fleet. Devoid of life, his corpse remaineth entwined about the Magitech monstrosity even unto this day.
Ariange has the right of it. Whatever this alteration in the Dragon Star portends, the Great Worm has shown no sign of life. Tataru, have the Domans reported aught out of the ordinary?
Correct me if I'm wrong, but if Midgard-Soma had roared, wouldn't we have heard it here in Revenant's Toll?
Roar is but a figure of speech. Dravanians can communicate in ways beyond our ken. It is for this very reason that we are forced to look for signs in the heavens. We cannot say with any confidence that a great worm roared at all, much less that it was Midgard-Soma. Only by directly examining the Keeper of the Lake can we be certain. However, it will take too long to gain the Holy See's approval to dispatch the Temple Knights. Therefore, Sir Emric would entrust this task to you. Do you accept? We knew you would not disappoint us. Now, if you would excuse me, I must return and assist the Lord Commander. We have precious little time to prepare.
To prepare for what, pray tell?
When a great worm roars, his brethren cannot choose but answer. We prepare for battle.
Forgive me if I state aught which you already know, but I will ensure that you understand the nature of your destination. As Ariange stated, what we now call the Keeper of the Lake is the wreckage of the Agrius, former flagship of the Imperial fleet and the corpse of the worm responsible for its destruction. 15 years ago, as the next step of his campaign to subjugate Eorzea, Gaius van Belzar attempted to seize control of Mordona. So massive was his force that all thought his victory a foregone conclusion. But an unlikely ally came to Eorzea's aid that day. Midgard-Zormr, legendary guardian of Silvertear Falls, burst forth from beneath the waters of the lake and led a host of dragons against the Garlemald airships overhead. In what would later become known as the Battle of Silvertear Skies, the Great Worm felled countless airships before engaging the Agrius. In the ensuing struggle, the flagship's cerulean engines failed, and it tumbled into the lake below. Yet his victory came at a great cost, for the explosion which followed claimed the life of the Great Worm as well. The same explosion transformed Silvertear Falls into the desolate wasteland it is today, draining the lake of its waters and crystallizing aether from malms around. Yet a remnant of the lake remains, and is at its center a constant reminder of that fateful day long ago. In accordance with Sir Americ's wishes, our Doman allies have been standing watch over the Keeper of the Lake. It would be wise to speak with them before investigating the wreckage yourself. Be careful, my friend. We know not what dangers await within. But now, let us not neglect our own task. There is much to be done, and precious little time to do it. You're in luck, sir. I was about to send word to Remnant's Toll about the Garleans. Of late, I've seen small airships, likely from Cassim Sentry, come and go from the Keeper of the Lake. Though I cannot say for certain of at this distance, I believe they may be salvaging something from within the wreckage. The Casham supply lines have been cut for some time, and I'd wager they're desperately in need of spare parts and other equipment. So it's true then. The Asgardians honestly fear the worm might rise again. Well, from here, that seems rather unlikely. But if it's assurances they want, they've no choice but to inspect the corpse in its entirety. Easier said than done, given the creatures which inhabit the wreckage, and the aforementioned Garleans who won't take kindly to your presence. They're sure to fire upon an airship, and advise a more stealthy approach. Take this boat and a few of your comrades to the base of the Agrius, then climb to the top. That's the only viable approach, I'd say. Keeper of the Lake was one of the last. There's no cloak. Keeper of the Lake. Yep. It's been a very, very long time since I've done this dungeon. So if there's any like special mechanics, it might take me a second to remember them. But the final battle, I do remember the final battle for this dungeon, and it's pretty fun. Oh, he actually helped me. Okay, I do remember this, kind of. See, I don't know if it's better to just keep fighting him. Yeah. Okay. That's actually a way more tedious fight if you do it properly. Or, I won't say properly, traditionally. I'm actually kind of glad that things aren't falling to just one hit anymore. Oh, that's going to get old fast. Can we just walk past these guys? Okay, so apparently one of the Colossus have the key. Or maybe I'm just supposed to use the same one. Nope. Okay. So I do need to kill that other Colossus. Unless there's something I'm missing. Oh. Ugh. Okay, second boss already. Magitech gunship. Easy enough.
Who treadeth now upon my bones, and waketh me from slumber sweet? Thou hast forgotten the face of thy Lord. Remember, mortal, and fear me.
Alright, a ghost dragon. That's why I like this battle. It's really cool. I know that one of them gets weaker. Or I know that they have different, Oh, whoops. I think I did that too early. So yeah, this one seems to be way weaker when he's closer to Midgard's armor. Okay, good. There we go.
By her gifts hast thou earned a moment's reprieve. Speak, mortal, and I shall listen. Guided by a star. My people have heard the song. Ishgard shall burn. Sons must answer for their father's misdeeds. We do not forget. We do not forgive. 7 children did I sire. One now singeth of retribution. I rise to join in the chorus. Thou art powerless to silence us, mortal. Yet thou shalt not live to labor in vain. Thy reprieve is at an end. Trickery is thy shield. This frail, ignoble creature is not gifted, but chosen. Hearken to me, Hydaelyn. I remember, and I consent. Fear not, mortal. I shall not harm thee. Mayhap thou thinkest me an oath breaker. Thou art mistaken. If thou comest to harm, it shall be by another's hand, not mine. I did but strip thee of thy mistress's feeble blessing. fight and struggle, if it be thy will. Man hath ever coveted that which lieth beyond his grasp. I drink of her body, and thence doth mine own find new life. When it hath grown whole, the loyal and penitent shall rejoice. The dragon song heraldeth a beginning and an end.
That piano didn't mess around towards the end there. I was beginning to fear the worst. Were those explosions I saw? But you shouldn't waste time talking with me. Alphino left a message stating that you would return to the Rising Stones at once. Come on. There you go. I think I did just realize that I just teleported to, no, I didn't. I didn't teleport. What I mean to say, I think I teleported just a couple feet away before that dungeon. Praise the 12 that you are hale and whole. I came as soon as Memphilia informed me of Sir Americ's request. You have completed your investigation at the Keep of the Lake, I take it. Then I would hear your report. You converse with Midgard-Sormr? I swear, were anyone else to make such a claim, I would regard it with considerable skepticism. Are we to understand that the Worm Lord did not perish, and has in sooth lain dormant these past 15 years? Less a resurrection and more rejuvenation for he who dwelleth in eternity, years passing as moments. Though his words were ambiguous at times, one statement left little room for interpretation. My people have heard the song, Ishgard's shall burn. Clearly an attack is imminent. We must share this information with Sir Aymeric immediately. However, we dare not divulge your conversation with Midgard-Sormr in its entirety. To even acknowledge that you heard the voice of a Dravanian is a grave but necessary risk. Lest we forget, men have been executed as heretics for declaring as such. For your own protection, and for the sake of our tenuous relations with Ishgard, the truth cannot leave this room. As for now, we shall present our revelation to Sir Americ's emissary. Sir Americ's emissary. If you may leave that to me, pray remain here for now. Is there something you are not telling us, Shadow? You seem different somehow. 'Tis almost as if you are missing something. Something important. 12 for Finn. Midgard-Sormr stripped you of the blessing of light? Are you alright? How do you feel? I see. It is a relief to hear that you are otherwise unharmed. It beggars belief that any being could possess the power to deprive you of her blessing. Midgard-Sormr made mention of a covenant, did he not? One of the ancient myths regarding Silvertear Falls states that when the waters came into existence, so too did the Great Worm. Althink and Nymea, Brother Time and Sister Fate, decreed that Midgard-Sormr ever watch over the source, from which all water and magic was set to flow. I wonder, what if this was a covenant of which he spoke, and 'twas not the gods with whom he treated, but Heidelin herself? Well, if he is watching over you as he claimed, mayhap he will have an opportunity to ask. Let us keep this matter to ourselves. I do not wish to burden our friends needlessly. Art thou a pawn or master of thy fate? What hast thou wrought by thine own hands, mortal? I think being haunted by a dragon's pretty cool.
My friend, I can scarce believe it. You confronted the Wormlord and lived to tell the tale. I give thanks to Helone for your preservation. It is our sole cause for gladness. Your encounter with the Keeper of the Lake served to confirm our fears. A great worm has roared, and it makes little difference if it was one of the two in Eorzea or any other. The Dravanians are coming.
I am told that Ishgard has magical defenses against Dravanian attack, though I am not privy to their exact nature. Will they be enough to repel a massive force?
Ishgard has weathered countless assaults over centuries. This will be no different. And now that you have confirmed the threat, none can ignore the Lord Commander's calls for the wards to be strengthened. I dare not presume to speak for him, but I expect the Lord Commander would sing your praises. I must away, but we shall meet again soon.
Countless assaults weathered, and this will be no different? Why am I not convinced?
The Ishgardians have warred with the Dravanians for centuries, nay, nearly 1,000 years. In all that time, not once have their enemies breached their defenses and entered the city proper. Yet, regardless of how strong these magical wards may be, I nevertheless fear that the Ishgardians are underestimating the gravity of the situation. Though it was not Midgardsormr who roared, a call to arms by one of the first brood cannot be ignored. Until such time as they choose to request our aid, however, we can do naught but observe the situation at a distance, and pray that our fears are unfounded. Aether on demand. Ere I forget, I believe Moenbrita has requested a gathering of the Scions. I assume that there have been some progress concerning the efforts to combat the Ascians. Pray inform her that our business with the Ishgardians is concluded for the moment. I should be along once I've completed my communications with the Crystal Braves. All done with your talk of dragons? Wonderful, because Ascians are next on the menu. Let's head to the Sala, shall we?
Now that everything's calmed down a bit, relatively speaking I mean, I thought it might be a good time to share our progress on the weapon. I believe we're on the verge of a breakthrough.
Well, don't keep us all in suspense.
Just in case anyone's forgotten, let's start by reviewing what we already know. So, an Ascian is an immortal because its soul doesn't return to the ethereal realm when its host is defeated. Instead, it flees to the place that lies between our world and the void. Therefore, the first step to permanently defeating an Ascian is preventing its soul from making this journey. And if you recall, when we last gathered here, I had verified that white auracite has adequate capacity to entrap the beings, albeit only briefly.
Which left the small matter of their extermination.
Aye. To unmake an Ascian soul, one must needs smite it with a concentrated burst, or blade, of purest ether. However, we wanted for both the data and the means to forge such a weapon.
Short of experimenting on an actual Ascian, you see, there's no way to gauge how much ether its soul is made of. As such, we don't know what etheric density our blade needs to have in order for it to work.
So we'll just have to make the densest blade we can and hope for the best. Though that would require a lot of ether. Hang on a minute! Why didn't we think of this before? White auracite can hold an absolute heap of ether, can't it?
Please tell me you're joking. God's sakes, Ida. I feel as though I'm reliving the same scene over and over with you. How many times do you need to be told that white auracite cannot store ether for long periods? Being intangible matter, ether is given to dispersion. Only in its crystallized form is it a stable source of energy. I will test you later on this, so see to it you do not forget.
Right, yes. It's all coming back to me.
So our hopes rest on good old crystals again, do they? While they are certainly reliable, they leave something to be desired in the area of portability.
Indeed. I am reminded of the quantity of corrupted crystals required to thwart Leviathan, and the extraordinary lengths to which the Lamentsons went to transport them. What if it should prove that a similar quantity was needed to destroy an Ascian's soul? Or still more?
I do not envy the poor sawdust to lug all of that around, on the off chance that an Ascian appears.
That's the very problem we set out to solve. And I reckon we've found the answer. If it isn't practical to lug around the ether we need, we'll just have to draw upon another source. And the only viable source is the land.
If you mean to tap the Great River of Ether, know that it will entail considerable risk. Meddling with the currents may well induce a surge like to the one which despoiled Mordona.
Give me a bit more credit, will you? Why would we need to tap the river when there are veritable reservoirs jutting out all over the land? Aye, I speak of corrupted crystals. It might be that their aspect is out of balance, but a crystal's a crystal. It contains ether, and we can help ourselves to it.
While corrupted crystals are indeed abundant, there is no guarantee that they will be in close proximity at a crucial moment.
But what if we don't need them to be? What if we could tap their power from afar? A malm away, say? If we could do that, we'd have ready access to ether aplenty in almost every corner of Eorzea. I've yet to put my theories to the proof, but I've got a good feeling about this. If no one has any objections, I'd like to see where this avenue leads.
If you think it worth your while, you have my blessing. But tell us, what are your theories? I, for one, am most eager to understand the process, however vaguely.
I thought you might say that, but no one wants to listen to boring old theories all day, do they? I know I don't. So with your permission, I'd like to try something a bit more hands-on. I've already built an etheric siphon especially for this purpose, and I've been meaning to try it out. Thing is, the profusion of corrupted crystals in Mordona makes it something of a high-risk testing ground. If anything goes awry with the siphon, it would be better if it didn't happen within spitting distance of quite so much ether. Ideally, I need an isolated specimen. Does anyone know where I can find one?
May I suggest northern Thanalan? There you will find corrupted crystals of middling size, standing a reasonable distance apart. Ideal for your needs, I should have thought. Oh, and if you do elect to visit the place, I should be much obliged if you would assist me in another matter while you are in the area.
Has something happened?
Movement has been observed at Castrum Meridianum. During Operation Archon, the Alliance dealt the stronghold a heavy blow. Its facilities were extensively damaged, and its garrison reduced to a fraction of its former strength. Not long after our forces withdrew, however, their ranks were replenished by reinforcements from Kostrom's sentry. They now seek to rebuild, and to this end they have their sights set upon the ceruleum processing plant. Having lost the Empire's support, the 14th Legion lacks the resources to sustain itself. To them, this is a bid for survival, and they will doubtless fight like desperate men. Though I have dispatched the Crystal Braves, I fear their strength alone may not suffice to stay the Imperial assault. I would request the Scion's aid in the defensive effort.
If I didn't know better, I'd say you were trying to inveigle us into fighting your battle with the promise of shiny crystals. Well then, consider me inveigled. I won't lie, the crystals you speak of sound perfect, so the Garleans have to go. Besides, we can't afford to beat about the bush. There's no telling when the Arceans will next appear.
Thine eagerness to hurl thyself into the jaws of danger cometh as little surprise. Exercise due caution, I prithee.
Though you have become a Crystal Brave, you are yet a Scion, Alphino. We could hardly refuse you. Pray, join the Crystal Braves and lend them your support. Thangred and Papalymo shall accompany you. Ida and Yashtola, in the meantime I would have you assist Moonbreeder. Scout out the crystal clusters, that the testing may commence as soon as the Garlean threat has been eliminated.
If it please you, I shall continue mine own experiments on white orosite.
Thank you, Urianger. Everyone, pray see to your preparations and depart as soon as you are able. Go well, and be safe.
Alright, so we got quite the lore dump there. Wait a minute. Okay, no, he's just out here. 'Twould seem that events have once more been conspired to rob us of rest and recuperation. Though I would wish it otherwise, I must ask that you head straight away to the processing plant. The Fourth have already deployed to the area, and I await the arrival of the Scions. Railwood will brief you on the developing situation. Meanwhile, I must rendezvous with Captain Ilbert at our headquarters in Ul'dah. I shall take command of our forces there with a lighter heart, knowing that you go to support the front lines. Your duties take to Northern Thanalan, do they not? We, too, must say our farewells to the Writing Stones for a time. Flamen travels to Ul'dah, and we shall serve as her escort. At my daughter's behest, I go to contact certain old acquaintances in the Gilded City. We are beset on all sides by civil unrest and imperial machinations, threatened by primals and troubled by dragons. We need all the allies we can muster. Many of my friends hold positions of power, you see, and it's my hope that they can be convinced to aid the Scion's cause. If past events has taught us anything, then we know that Eorzea must present a united front or we shall fall. Ah, how extraordinary that my little Acilia is involved in such far-reaching affairs. I am proud that I might now stand at her side not only as a mother, but also as a colleague. A colleague with influential connections, but I fear that Ul'dah has become a place of danger, even for one so familiar with her streets. Bah! Woe betide the blackguard that so much has glared in your direction, milady. Ah, I shall be well protected, it seems. Shall we be on our way, then? Commander Livier sent word that you'd be coming. A veteran of our talents is most welcome. Not that I don't think we can handle the situation, mind you. I've learned a trick or two since the disaster with the Amalja. But returning to the task at hand. The Flames reconnaissance scouts have reported Imperial soldiers assembling at Raubon's Push. Such a force is likely interested in only one thing, getting their hands on the resources found here at the processing plant. The Guardians could begin marching on us at any time. Pray speak with Lieutenant Edelstein, and we might coordinate our counter-strategy. In the meantime, I shall inform you the others that have arrived. No doubt it will bring welcome tidings. Lieutenant Blyson, my soldiers yet tell tales of your deeds during Operation Archon. Would that we could sit a while and reminisce about old times, but I fear more pressing matters require our attention. The civilian draftsmen, you see, have come across several highly suspicious crates within the boundaries of the processing plant. I had my sappers take a close look, and our worst fears were confirmed. Those boxes contain powerful explosive devices of Imperial design, no less. By my order, the Flame Station here are conducting a thorough sweep of the compound as we speak. Though it troubles me that we are unable to apprehend the Imperial spy behind this, I have faith that our men will be able to neutralize the threat for now. In the meantime, our scouts bring troubled news on our latest movements of the Imperial Army. I would once again ask for your aid. And that is about all that I have time for today. This next stream, next week, could prove to be the longest one yet. So, but we're going to finish and get ready for Heavensward. So, until then, stay awesome.